Hey, what's going on, everybody? Eric here, the creator of Empowered Legends Begin, and this episode today really is the meat and potatoes of everything. This is what the game is all about. Combat systems, getting into the battles, getting into the investigations, and actually using your superpowers. Let's take a quick look at the overview, and then we'll jump onto the board and see it in live practice. Let's talk about event types. There are technically three different types of events in the game. They're found on the back of location cards. When you see this symbol, it means to flip or change. If you use your battle action to engage with this location, you will flip this card and find the event on the other side. Here we have bank robbery. This is a battle event as indicated by the full red color. The red color represents fighting or a physical challenge, which is usually connected to hits. You use your red combat superpower die for rolling, and you add your white event dice based on your level. Let's take a closer look at the event cards. So here we have the type. This is reminding you that you have to use your red combat superpower in order to do these events. Even if they're not physical, this is the superpower die that you use. Next up, we have the timer icon. This represents how many attempts combined all players get before the event is over forever. Below here we have the meat and potatoes of the card. First up we have the R, which is your requirement on what you need to do to activate the card. Next we have the value, which is difficulty, and then the result, which gives you rewards and after effects. The reputation tracks are where you decide how you will attempt that card. Next up we have the special trait, which will give you a bonus when your trait matches the trait on this card. You can find that on the back of the token, and you can apply it to the battle or the event as you're playing it. Not all battle events only have 2 reputation choices. Sometimes they'll have 3 reputation choices, and other versions of events can also have 2 or 3 choices. With that said, let's take a look at investigations. So here we have another location card. When we engage and flip it over, we'll notice that we have an investigation, which you can tell by its turquoise color. Investigations don't provide any danger, but they can be a little bit harder to pull off for the rewards and bonuses. An investigation is based on your character's mental intellect or mental challenges that they might face, based on clues. You only roll event dice during investigations. Those are the white dice. You do not roll your red combat superpower for success because there is no danger. However, your power may be an intellect-based power and still provide a bonus to complete these events. If you have to roll, the card will tell you. Investigations often reward you with the ability to peek ahead at future events or bosses, but you might not get XP or as big rewards. Let's take a look at the last type. So here we have the location, and when we flip it over, we notice the card is split in half between red and turquoise. This lets you know that one of the reputation tracks is a physical challenge, and one of the reputation tracks is an intellect challenge. You simply choose which one you'd like to compete with. Alright, so here we are back on the map. We have made it into the suburbs, and we are continuing on with my martial arts ice-based hero. That is the guy over here in green. And we're going to go over some quick examples of the events. Alright, so let's go over a battle event first. I'm going to take my character right here from the lake. I'm going to move him right down to the city center bank. And again, we are noticing that this icon is the flip and change icon, so I'm going to use my battle action to engage with this location. We are going to flip it over, and we will see that this one is the bank robbery. So we have our red combat superpower icon up here, which is letting you know that you do have to use your red combat superpower die for this event. We have 2 on the timer tokens, so we're going to place 2 timer tokens right on top of that card there so that we know how many attempts we've made. It does have a gang symbol right there. And of course, there are the 2 tracks right here for arrest them or stealth KO. That is the hero option or the vigilante option. We're going to go with the arrest them option. So there's a number 4 there, meaning that there are 4 hit tokens or a total of 4 enemies, however you want to look at that. That is also the difficulty of the dice. So I have to make sure that I roll something higher than 4. So I need a 5 or a 6. And if I fail the roll, that is also how much damage the card is doing back to me. So it's the health of the card, the difficulty, and the damage it does all rolled into one. So up until this point, my character is level 5, so I'm going to grab my red combat superpower die, and then I am going to grab 5 event dice. As stated in the video before, we're going to roll these all together, and we are looking to pass that roll as well as gain enough hits to take out the card. Okay, so we needed a 4 or higher to be successful. We rolled a 5, which is fantastic. So now we know that we are on the offense, so we're going to be looking for as many hits as possible. There are currently 4 health tokens on this card, so we got 1 hit here and 1 hit here, so we are currently doing 2 damage to this card. That's great so far, but let's take a look at my superpower card and see what other options I have. So looking at my cryokinesis superpower card, we do see that it has an offensive ability, and I am on the offense, so I can actually change 1 shield into 1 hit just by using this power. So I'm going to take this shield right here, and I can change that face over to a hit, and that's great. I am now doing 3 damage to this card. So now typically that would be it. I would take 3 hit tokens off of this card, so there's 1 remaining, and I would also take 1 timer token off because I have attempted it once. Now that means somebody else could potentially come back on their turn and sneak into this event and snipe it from me. However, let's go back to my character sheet and see if there's some other options. If you remember in character creation, my first drawn style item for being a martial artist was actually my sidekick, my student. And he has an ability that says once per turn, add 1 shield to your pool versus pawns, or re-roll 1 white dice. This is actually a great opportunity because I can 100% use this second power right here, which is re-roll 1 die. So I'm going to pick this, and I'm going to choose to re-roll it. Alright, so with that, I successfully re-rolled that clue, and I turned it into a hit, which was the last one that I needed to take off that token. And just like that, by using a combination of my equipment cards or my sidekick, my superpower card, I was able to finish this card in just 1 attempt. Now just going backwards a little bit, had I rolled and failed the roll, so I got 2 when I needed to roll higher than 4, I needed a 5 or a 6. If I failed the roll, I am now on the defense, which means I am looking for as many shields as possible in order to reduce the damage from this right here, which would be 4. So right now I can see that I'm already reducing it by 1 because I have 1 shield. Once again, my sidekick over here says add 1 shield to your pool versus pawns. I'm not fighting a pawn as I'm doing a battle event, but I can still re-roll that 1 white die. So let's pick this hit die right here. So far I have 2 shields. I've already reduced the damage I'm taking by 2, so it is in half. But let's take a look at some of my other superpower cards and see what I have. At this point, I've unlocked my blue genetic superpower, which is X-ray vision. Don't forget that using your genetic superpower is always a free action, and you can essentially do that blue roll at any point that is relevant for the power. Right now I am in combat, and this is a combat-based power, so I'm going to go ahead and try and roll my blue superpower die. You'll notice that there are levels on this blue power. It says 2 to 3, 4 to 5, and 6. The result that I get on the blue die is going to be which effect I will be using. It is a little bit of a toss-up, it's a little bit random, however, there is a workaround. You'll notice that there was no number 1 on that blue card, and that is the same for all genetic superpowers. If you roll the number 1 or a poof, you get to choose which option on that genetic power that you are using. So with that said, let's take a roll. So I rolled a 4. Typically that would give me, on a 4 to 5, I could convert 1 clue, which we see up here, into a hit. However, I don't need hits right now, so unfortunately that roll doesn't really come through for me, which means that my shields stay at 2. So my character would take 2 damage. I would still take 1 timer token off as that was an attempt, and then wait till next turn to reattempt. Now, in case you were wondering, or if maybe you missed it, this event that I'm doing in this space right now is currently connected to this environment zone. Now remember, you can only go through environment zones. You cannot occupy those spaces unless told by a superpower or effect. But what they do is provide you with a bonus to any of the locations that this is attached to. So this tree right here is actually providing me with 1 shield if I'm engaged in a battle in these city streets or in this space, which I happen to be. So I had 2 shields. This one is automatically giving me another one. So I actually had 3 shields against the 4 damage. I would only be taking 1 damage in this fight. Okay, so now my student sidekick and I are going to go to the secluded manor, and we are going to attempt an investigation. So we are going to use our battle action, and we're going to engage. We're going to flip change that card into the investigation event, and it is a murdered butler. We can see it's an investigation because of its turquoise color, and it still has the red combat superpower symbol here to remind us that we still need to use our red superpowers for this event. Remember, there is no present danger in investigations, so you are not physically rolling your red superpower die. But some red superpowers, like Supreme Intellect, will provide you with bonuses that are great for investigations. So here we can see that it simply has an activation of power. Add 1 clue to your pool. So that would help tremendously for this event. But if you're at a battle event, although this might not play a role, this character can still create a lot of defense using clues. So they're using their smarts to bolster their defense. So I'm simply going to take my 3 clue tokens and place them right on top of the board. I would also take my 4 timer tokens and place them right there as well for each attempt. And now I have a decision to make. I am currently playing a hero, but there is no option other than a villain and a vigilante option. So I'm going to have to really choose what result do I want, what rewards do I want to go with, and then go from there. We're going to choose the CSI work, and my student and I are going to try and discover some clues. I'm simply going to take my 5 white dice and I'm going to roll them and trying to gather as many clues as possible. Okay, so with my roll, I got 1 clue so far. So now we want to see on all of my cards and all of my equipment and superpowers, what can I do to generate more clues? Well, there's nothing here for me with the environment zone, but this sidekick still has that power of re-roll 1 die. And again, it's only once per turn, so we will try and do that. Okay, so we got our second clue thanks to our sidekick. Now, it's not enough to complete this event of CSI work, but I will go ahead and take 2 of these clue tokens off the card, and now there is 1 remaining. I will then take a timer token off and wait till my next turn to try again. Now, because we are trying to cover all the angles, let's go back and pretend that my special trait on my character was the robotic trait. We can see that the card itself has a robotic trait. So if your trait matches the one on the card, you can flip that token over and gain the bonus benefit. So in my situation here, because it matches, I can actually generate 1 clue into my pool. That means I have 1 clue, 2 clue, and because I'm using my trait, I actually have a combined total of 3 clues, and I am able to complete this event. All right, so let's look at our last example of the 3. We have the Sanctum Church here. We're going to go ahead and flip change this to the other side to where we have Cursed Sorcerers. So this is a split card. There's the red, there's the turquoise. Obviously, it's a combat event because it always will be. We have a timer of 4 and a supernatural trait. So we have the turquoise side letting you know that there is an intellect option, and that comes from the form of the villain path, which is persuasion. But there's also a red side, or a red option, which is combat or physical, and that comes from the vigilante misdirection track. So you're going to pick and choose what you want following all the same rules. Remember, you are never locked into a specific choice though. So if you don't complete an event in 1 turn and you find that the option you chose was too hard, you can always switch to the other option and attempt that instead. Just keep in mind that will change what happens to your reputation and it will change your rewards. Once one of these tracks has been completed and there's no more of that specific token, then the card is done. They do not both have to be completed. It's one or the other. Okay, so that was it. That was combat. That was investigations. Those are the 2 most important aspects of the game, and we are just about there. We're coming to the end of this series, but what we got to do before that is a little bit more tussling, because we got to learn how to fight each other in PvP, and we also have to learn and see what the end game boss looks like and how the heck we fight that thing. That might be a lot to take in, so rest up, get some sleep, get some fuel, and I'll see you at the next video.